is Monday. Hope everyone had a great, wonderful weekend. It is Monday, June 26th, 2023. I'm your host, Captain Boring. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into these on the daily. For those of you that do tune in, for those of you that don't, you don't know that I hate your guts because you don't listen to me anyway. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I was only kidding by the hating the guts thing. I don't know who you are, and you don't know me, so I'm apologizing really to no one. I got baseball scores for you. I'm going to get you caught up on NBA free agency, and then I will get you on your way. So some latest NBA free agency new season kind of news. The Atlanta Hawks are finalizing a trade to send their forward star John Collins to the Utah Jazz for Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay is an expensive player, so this is basically just a trade to get John Collins' contract off the books. It is also for a future second-round pick. Atlanta is largely unloading the remaining 3 years, $78 million on Collins' contract for some roster building flexibility and alignment with looming changes to the team's salary cap. See, I told you, and then I went on to read the rest of the paragraph, and it already confirmed with what I told you. The Minnesota Timberwolves really like centers. They just signed Naz Reid on a new 3-year $42 million contract that includes a player option, his agent told ESPN Wojnarowski. Here's a fun fact. The Minnesota Timberwolves have $443 million locked up at center. That's a lot. It's 3 players. It's Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, and then Naz Reid. Naz Reid has $42 million of those. So the other $400 between the other 2 guys. That's a lot of money for a position that's pretty much obsolete in basketball now. And then finally, the New York Knicks and Josh Hart have agreed to extend the deadline for his $13 million player option until Thursday at midnight. Hart was acquired by the Knicks in a trade with the Portland Trail Blazers this past season and became a key rotational player for the team's playoff push. He is also best friends with their star guard, Jalen Brunson. So now let's take a look around the world of baseball and just see how our lowest salaried teams in baseball are doing. We're going to start off with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who snapped their 11-game losing streak with, well, it actually pushed it to 12 because they lost to the Marlins. Then they beat the Marlins 3-1, and then they lost 2 straight. So they are now 7 games under 500. However, still only 5.5 back of the NL Central. It is still before the All-Star break, so they got plenty of time to make a rally. However, they need to start pushing those buttons a little bit faster and harder if they're going to make a playoff push. Let's check in with the O's out of Baltimore. So after a 7-2 loss of the Rays, which I covered last, they got drubbed by the Seattle Mariners 13-1. And then they come back and they win 2 games, 6-4 and 3-2 against the Mariners. They are on a 2-game winning streak. They're 47-29. That's however many games that is, 18 games above 500 and 4.5 game back of the Tampa Bay Rays. Speaking of those Tampa Bay Rays, so last I left you, they beat the Baltimore Orioles 7-2. Then they lost to the Royals 6-5. They beat the Royals 11-3, lost to the Royals 9-4, and then beat the Royals 3-1. So they're on a 1-game winning streak. They sit 54-27 on the year, best in all of MLB, and on a 1-game win streak. A team I've added to the mix because they got super hot. They won 12 straight games. So they last beat the Rockies 5-3. That's where I left you off. Then they, in a crazy wild game, beat the Atlanta Braves 11-10, in which their new star, Ellie De La Cruz, he is a shortstop, in his 14th major league game, hit for the cycle. The cycle is a single, a double, a triple, and a homer. Not necessarily all in that order, but all in one game. The only players in MLB history to have 4 hits and a stolen base in the same game are Ellie De La Cruz and Mike Trout. End of statement. So they then beat the Braves 11-10. They then lost the next 2 by the same score, 7-6 in both games. They are on a 2-game losing streak. They are 4 games above 500. However, they lead the Milwaukee Brewers, who are still hanging around. The Brewers are by a half game. Let's look up the standings and just make sure I have everything kosher. The leaders in all of the divisions are as follows in the American League. The East is the Rays, the Central is the Twins, and the West is the Texas Rangers. If you flip over to the National League, the leaders are the Atlanta Braves, who are actually catching up to the Rays for best record in all of baseball. The Cincinnati Reds lead the Central, and out West are the Arizona Diamondbacks. If the season ended today, all those 4 division leaders would make the playoffs. The following teams would also make the playoffs as wild card teams. And those are as follows: the Baltimore Orioles, the New York Yankees, and the Toronto Blue Jays. The American League wild card is very close. You can go down another 3 teams to the Boston Red Sox, who are only 3 games back of that wild card spot. And then if we look over to the National League, that wild card race is just as close. The following teams that would make the division or make the playoffs as wild card teams are the Miami Marlins, the San Francisco Giants, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Brewers and Phillies are both 3.5 games back of that final wild card spot, and the Cubs are 5.5 games back. So again, we're before the All-Star break. Lots of baseball left to be played. Lots of crumbling down the stretch yet to come, and resurgence by a lot of these lower dwelling teams as well can be expected. Stick with me throughout the summer for your 10-minute sports report. I will keep you updated and apprised of all things baseball, as well as the NBA free agency. Until that time, wash your hands, you filthy animals. God bless you all, and peace out. I'll see you on Wednesday.